What's up, guys? Today I'm out at one of my favorite spots to get out, just be out around nature. It's a little wildlife preservation that is really close to my house. And it's about 50 degrees today, so it's a little bit of a break in the winter weather, and I figured I would take advantage of that. And I've got a video for you guys today because of some trends that I've been seeing on Facebook Marketplace with regards to Cherokees and the current prices in this current economic climate. See a lot of people really butthurt about it, and I figured, hey, I'll take the opportunity to talk about it, give my 2 cents. Maybe you'll agree with me, maybe you won't, but I also have kind of a funny story that I was gonna share with you guys today. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Guys, got you up on the tripod this time. I'm trying to avoid all the walking head videos where I'm shaking around the camera and stuff. I'm out here, it's not a studio, there's wind and stuff, so bear with me. Hopefully the audio is pretty good for you. What I wanted to talk about real quick was just a topic that I continue to see popping up all over Facebook Marketplace, and I genuinely think it's people not understanding or just completely ignorant of how economics work. And this is a topic that apparently is pretty touchy for a lot of Jeep people, because what we're seeing is Jeep Cherokee XJs, like the one that I have back here, going for insane amounts of money. And we have to be careful with that definition, because when I start throwing words like insane amounts of money or the prices are really high, there's a lot of subjective nature to this kind of stuff. It really depends what you think high prices are. For me, if I see a nice clean Cherokee, it costs 10 grand. I'm like, hey man, I mean, they're not making any more of them, so if it's 10 grand, it's 10 grand. And part of the reality of what we're experiencing is the fact that economics are gonna drive these prices. And there's things and factors that I think are contributing to this, and I think that they're important to remember. Before I get into that, there's a funny story that I wanna tell you guys, and I don't know if you'll think it's funny, but this is my reality driving around this rig every day. I drive it every single day. If you don't know, it's got an OM617 turbo diesel engine that I swapped into it. I repainted it about 2 years ago now. It's a beautiful Jeep. It's my daily driver, runs amazing. So inevitably, I can't go to a gas station without getting stopped. Heck, if I just pull into a parking lot somewhere, somebody always comes up to me and says, hey, what's that diesel Jeep? Tell me about it. It's got a Cummins in it. So anyway, this dude, I'm pulling out of the shop and I'm shutting the gate like I do every night, locking up the gate. It's around 6 o'clock. This dude just pulls right up to me. And I always know that as soon as somebody just skirts right in there and stops, I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna get sucked into another 20-minute conversation. So this dude is in this like beat Dodge Ram, like a 1500. The fenders are all rotted out. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It looks like it's been rattle canned 3 times. And he gets out and he walks right over to me, and I was clearly driving away. And the best part is I was also on the phone. So this dude, I'm on the phone, clearly talking. This dude walks up to my Jeep, taps on my window to roll down the window. And then as I'm on the phone talking to one of my friends, he's like, yo, is this thing for sale? I've been looking for a Cherokee like this for so long. This thing's freaking beautiful. What's it got in it? Is that a Cummins? That's my favorite word, Cummins. Stop saying Cummins. It's so annoying. But either way, he starts just blowing stuff at me, like nonstop. It's a velocity that I can't even get my hands around. And he's like, is it for sale, man? I just need to know the price. This is exactly what I'm looking for. I've wanted a diesel swapped one. And I was like, honestly, bro, you're not prepared to hear my price for this thing. And he's like, what do you mean? What do you mean about that? I was like, here's the deal. I'm gonna shoot straight with you. One, it's not for sale, but everything's for sale for the right price. I said, I will take no less than 30 grand for this Jeep that's behind me. And I'm serious about that, guys. And I answered him seriously. I said, if you can bring me 30 grand cash, I will consider selling this. And that's just enough money to make me think about it, but probably not enough for me to actually sell this thing. And then he's like, are you serious? Oh man, that's right in the price range. And I could tell that he's just a genuine BSer. He looks down and sees the shift knob and he's like, oh, it's a manual. And keep in mind, like right away, I can tell this guy doesn't have 30 grand. There's no way, looking at the truck, like I'm not trying to be judgmental, but just, you can tell when there's someone who's just so full of crap. That was this dude. He looks at the center console, sees the stick shifter, and he's like, oh, it's a manual. I can't have that. I can't have that, man. I can only drive, automatic. He's like, if this thing was an automatic, I would go to the bank right now, get the 30 grand out, and we'd be making a deal. We'd be heading to the notary. I'm like, all right, okay. And the reason I tell you guys this story is because I feel like there's two different paradigms here. There's two different realities of what we're experiencing in the Jeep world, and I think there's a lot of misunderstanding. So I'm just gonna try to shoot real with you and give you my take. Maybe you disagree, like I said, I don't know. Let's just talk about the economics for a second. So we're seeing Cherokees going easily, and I'm talking Cherokees that don't even appeal to me. They're kind of rusty, rocker panels are bad, might have dents, faded paint, interior's not perfect. Easily $5,000, at least in my area. If you have especially a later gen 97 to 99, even a 2000 to 2001, they're bringing top dollar. And even if there's issues, known issues, high mileage, it doesn't really matter. People are paying that amount of money for them. So $5,000 to $10,000 is the reality of what I'm currently seeing. And so that raises the question every single time, are they worth it? And we'll answer that question here at the end, but the trend that I'm seeing is just people putting in absurd comments down in the comment section, just absolutely trash talking anybody that asks any high dollar amount for their Cherokees. And guys, I get it, because when I was growing up and got my license, I got my first vehicle. It was an '89 Jeep Cherokee. I paid, I think, $800 for it, and it was really nice. It actually ran really good, super reliable. And I remember, this is going back to like Cash for Clunkers era, where you could go to a junkyard and you could just find 25 Cherokees because people traded them in, whatever. They recycled them, they bought a newer vehicle. And I feel like that's part of what we are experiencing currently, is the fallout from things like that, programs like Cash for Clunkers. You know, people getting whatever, 4,500 bucks for a Jeep that at the time was bringing $800. And I think that hurt us as well. And that's stuff that gets factored in here. But man, I remember buying Jeeps for $1,000, putting a $2,000 lift kit with wheels, tires, all that, 4.5-inch lift, dropping about $2 grand in them. So I got $3,000 invested in this thing, drive it for a year or so, and you could sell it for $5 grand or more. And that was a period where you're just not in that anymore. You are not going to find, or I should say you will rarely find, a really clean Jeep that is a really low dollar amount. And I think that there's a couple factors that we need to keep in mind. One, they've been discontinued since 2001 in the United States. So what that means is just the basic law of economics here. There's no more being produced. There's no more going back into circulation. Because of that, the ones that are in circulation are going to be worth more money. The other reality that we're seeing is people are hanging onto their Jeeps. Like, good luck getting me to sell this thing. It's just probably not going to happen. And because of that, we don't have other used vehicles or used models of these going into the market. And because of that, whatever is currently in the market is going to be worth more. And that's just a reality of everything, guys, especially a desirable vehicle. And I see people putting out ignorant comments, and I don't mean that in an offensive way, but they obviously don't understand what they're talking about, where they're saying, oh, there's other cars from 97 to 2001 that aren't worth half of that. And the reason is because nobody cares about them. Nobody wants those vehicles. And so because of that, they're worth nothing. Cherokees are still extremely desirable. There's not many SUVs out there, other than maybe 4Runners, FJ Cruisers, and things like that, that would even compare to the size, wheelbase, general specifications, and I would argue reliability. And if you check out prices of FJ Cruisers, 4Runners, any Toyota, you're gonna see that they're easily 3 times the price of an XJ. So I think that, relatively speaking, they compare pretty well. So we don't have any more coming into the market. We know that people that have nice ones tend to hang on to them, because the more that they get sold and the more that get wrecked and scrapped and thrown away and just generally disregarded, the higher chance that the people that are going to keep them are guys like me. And when we do sell them into the market, we're going to want top dollar. So these are things you guys have to keep in mind. That's the benefit of a free market society here, is the fact that the market's going to determine whether or not people are willing to pay the price that you're asking. And they're also going to determine what kind of volume you're going to see them out in the market. And ultimately, that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. And yeah, it sucks. We think about it emotionally and we're like, man, I remember back in the day when I could buy an XJ for $500. And it never fails to happen where there's that person that's like, my Jeep is a 97 and I paid $3,000 for it. And I'm like, cool, you got a good deal. That's a good thing. And if you go to sell it, you'll probably get 5,000 to 6,000 if it's clean. If it's really nice, like stock, untouched, no lift kit, no rust, it hasn't ever seen road salt like the Northeast up here, you might get 10 grand for it. So guys, we've got a supply and demand issue is the first thing. And also, the reality is whether or not you agree with the price that people are asking, watch Facebook Marketplace. You're gonna see the ones that are listed for high sell quickly. So what that's telling us is even if to you they're not worth it, to the person buying them, they are. And ultimately that's all that matters. Because if we have a free market society and I wanna sell a little widget for 20 grand and you're like, that thing cost you 40 bucks to make. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm selling them for 20 grand all day long. Who's right and who's wrong? Ultimately, it's not a right and wrong thing. If the market allows for it and people pay for it, then it's worth it. The other thing we gotta remember, guys, is our government is printing money like freaking crazy. If you look up like what a $20,000 vehicle brand new off the showroom would cost you, it's probably around 30 or 34 grand now. And that's only going from like the 2000s to now. So our dollar is worth less. And I know that especially the last 2 years, it's come as shell shock because it has happened extremely rapidly. But that's the other thing you have to keep in mind, guys. Inflation is going to absolutely destroy your perception of what value is. So please keep that in mind. And guys, I have no hard feelings here, although every once in a while I do troll people's comments in the Facebook Marketplace realm. I just want to remind you that this is the natural progression of a desirable classic vehicle. And honestly, these XJs, at this point, they are classics. So guys, I hope that that broke it down in a way that you can digest and understand. If you have another take on it or you have some other information that you want to share, please drop it down in the comment section. Last thing I want to add to you is if you don't know and you kind of landed on this channel and this is the first time you're seeing my channel, I've got 2 other YouTube channels and I broke the Jeep content out into this channel. This is a brand new channel, different vibe, different content. I'm in the gun world and steel targets and training and stuff. And what I wanted to do was just kind of separate some of this stuff out so that guys like you might be watching this channel and saying, hey, I'm not really into guns and shooting and stuff. I just want to see Jeeps. I'm curating that and compiling that into just this channel. So hopefully that's helpful for you guys. If you're into the shooting, I know a lot of you Jeep guys are, you can check out the other channels. That is Keystone Carry on YouTube, and you can also check out TA Targets on YouTube. And both of those channels have some really awesome content, trying to speak into culture and help you guys understand some different topics as well. So brand new channel here. I would appreciate if you take a second to hit the like button, subscribe, and you will be able to find even more videos about this guy in the near future and topics like this. And if there are topics you want me to dive into and you like my take on things and how I handle stuff, leave them down in the comment section. I will definitely take them into consideration. Appreciate you guys. Keep on spooling.
All I want is satisfaction. Make a move.